In this lesson, we're going to look at determining the cost of ownership. In the last video, we looked at the different options, whether buying, leasing, or leasing to own. In this video, we're going to look at the actual calculations that you might have to perform when deciding whether or not to go with one option or the other. So in this video, we're going to look at calculating the cost of buying, leasing, and leasing to own a vehicle, and hopefully identifying situations in which leasing or buying a vehicle is the better option. So the outcomes we're going to cover are simply to solve with or without technology problems that involve the purchase, lease, or lease to purchase of a vehicle. So we're going to start here with this example. Victoria is trying to decide which used car to buy. The table shows the details for each deal. If she wants to go for a 2-year-old car, it's going to cost her $16,000 plus 13% tax. There's 35,000 kilometers on the car, and the interest rate for financing is 3.9%. A 6-year-old car is worth $9,000 plus the tax, but it has 100,000 kilometers on it, and the interest rate is also 3.9% for this one. If Victoria buys the 2-year-old car, calculate her monthly payment if she takes the loan out for 3 years and for 4 years. Okay, at this point, we're going to need some technology. If you have a graphing calculator, there is a program that you can use to calculate these types of things. But I'm going to use a website, and I think it would be a good idea for you to try on the website as well, because it's very straightforward using this website. So what I'm going to do now is share our website. I'm also going to post it down in the chat window, the URL link. So there's the URL link. And here is our website. So it's the BMO loan calculator. You can play with this yourself. What you're going to want to do is put in the loan amount in the first box, and the interest rate goes in the second box. The amortization is a fancy word for the term of your lease. So if you want a 2-year lease, you can select 2 years. If you want 3 years or 4 years, you can select those. So you can look at many different term lengths for a loan. Your payment frequency, in this case, we're going to look at monthly specifically, but there's other options you could use as well. So if Victoria buys the 2-year-old car, calculate her monthly payment if she takes the loan out for 3 years first, then 4 years. What we have to do first is find out how much is the car going to cost in total, because recall that it's worth $16,000, but there's also 13% tax on it. So the cost is going to be $16,000 times 1.13, because that's 13% in addition to the cost of the car. And that's going to give us a total cost of the car of $18,080. So if I go to my BMO website, which we'll head back to now, I'm going to type these numbers in. I believe that you'll be able to do it yourself. You won't see the numbers I put in, but you can try yourself. So the loan amount is $18,080. The interest rate that we're looking at is 3.9%. So the interest rate we typed in 3.9, and the amortization, or in other words, the term length of the lease. This is for a 3-year lease the first time. So we're going to make sure our amortization is 3 years. Payment frequency is monthly, and the payment amount I get is $532.99. So what you'll see with a 3-year lease 3-year loan, sorry, is $532.99 when we use the loan calculator. For 4 years, all the numbers are the same, except we're going to change the amortization from 3 years to 4 years. So we get a value of $407.42 monthly over a 4-year period. So you can see that the amount paid out monthly has gone down considerably if we add a year to our loan. We're going to look at our options for the 6-year-old car. So if Victoria buys a 6-year-old car, we're going to calculate her monthly payments if she takes the loan out for 3 years and for 4 years as well. So first, again, recall that the cost of the car is $9,000 plus 13% tax. So to find out how much the total cost is, we're going to multiply 9,000 times 1.13, which gives us a value of $10,170. So again, if we go to the BMO website, I'm going to type this in, but I don't know that you'll see it again, but you can type the numbers in yourself. $10,170 is the loan amount. The interest rate, again, is 3.9%. The amortization, the term length, is 3 years, and the payment frequency is monthly. When I have those 4 numbers put in, I'm going to hit the calculate button, and I get a number of $299.81. So here's what my window looked like. So my loan amount was $10,170. Interest rate is 3.9%. Amortization is 3 years, and a payment frequency is monthly. It gives me a monthly payment of $299.81. I'm going to do the same exact thing once again. This time I'm going to change my amortization, or my term length of my loan, to 4 years. And this is what I get. So the payment frequency is still monthly. Its amortization now is 4 years. Interest rate 3.9. The loan amount is the same. But we see that our payment has gone down to $229.17. So Victoria researches the pros and cons of buying the 2-year-old car versus a 6-year-old car. The table shows the information she learns, lists the advantages and disadvantages of buying each vehicle. So the 2-year-old car still has 3 years left on the manufacturer's warranty because it has 5 years or 100,000 kilometers. The 6-year-old car has no warranty left. So any repairs that need to be made, she'll have to pay for. The 2-year-old car has more safety features as well. They both contain ABS brakes. They both have side impact protection beams. But the 2-year-old car also has electronic stability control and side airbags. And depreciation is the value that is lost in the car year on year on year. The depreciation in the 2-year-old car is going to be significant because it's a very new car. The newer the car, the greater the depreciation. The 6-year-old car is going to have less depreciation. That means the amount of value that it loses from year to year is going to be a little bit less because it's an older car. So most of the value of the car has already been lost. So here are some of the advantages and disadvantages for the 2 cars. For the 2-year-old car, its advantages are that it has more safety features. The warranty is still in place. So for the next 3 years, if there's any repairs needed, she can get them covered under her warranty. There are fewer kilometers on the car. And of course, the 2-year-old car is going to be newer looking. So if you want your car to look good, you're probably going to go with a newer car. Some of the disadvantages of this 2-year-old car, though, is that it will depreciate faster than the 6-year-old car. That means the value in the car will go down more. And of course, there's higher monthly payments because it's a more expensive car. The advantages for the 6-year-old car are that there are lower monthly payments, and since the car is already 6 years old, it will depreciate at a slower rate. So if she decides to sell the car on in a couple of years, she's going to get closer to what she paid for it originally. Some of the disadvantages are that there is no warranty. So again, any repairs that need to be done, she'll have to pay for out of pocket. there are fewer safety features. So, there's more risk of damage, or if she were to get into an accident, her own safety might be at risk. It's because it's an older car, it has more kilometers on it, and as a car ages, it's going to need more and more maintenance repairs. So now we're looking at buying a new vehicle. Erin has been working as a cabinet maker for several years and is starting her own business. She needs a car to meet with clients, and she has decided that she can afford a new car. Details of the pricing are in the table. So the standard vehicle price, it's an $18,999 car. But when you buy new, there's a few extra things that you're going to have to pay in as well. Any extra options, the base model, the standard vehicle price, that's the base model of the car. So the extra options package are a few extra bonus items to the car, maybe air conditioning or heated seats, maybe a sunroof. Freight and PDI, that's something that you pay when you get a car, a brand new car. In this case, it's $1,450. And transferring the license to you is, which is not a taxable item, it's going to cost $140. So what is the total cost of the car, including taxes? Well, we're going to add the taxable items together first. So the taxable items include the first three options. They add up to $18,999 plus $1,150 plus $1,450, which is $21,599. And we're going to multiply that by 13, or add 13% to that, multiply that by 1.13. And that'll give us a total taxable amount of $24,406.87 with taxes included. Of course, we also have that licensing, which is $140 not taxed, so we add that to the price of the car with taxes, and that gives us a total amount of the car of $24,546.87. So this is how much she's actually going to be paying. Erin decides to get a car loan for 60 months. It's worked out that her monthly payment will be $439.96. What is the total amount Erin will have paid for the car when it is paid off? And what is Erin's cost to finance the car? That is, how much will she pay in interest? There's going to be interest on any loan. So you're never going to pay exactly, or very rarely are you ever going to pay exactly what you owe on a loan. You'll often pay sometimes considerably more. So we're going to calculate first how much she will have paid in. We know that she's paying $439.96 for 60 months. So what we have to do is multiply the number of payments, which is 60, times the amount of each payment, which is $439.96, and that'll give us a total value that she paid out of $26,397.60. That is how much she paid back. But the amount that the car was valued at was $24,546.87. So that means that she ends up paying $1,850.73 in interest over the term of her loan on her car payments. It might be a good idea to note at this point that if you can pay a car off quicker, then that means that you'll reduce the amount of interest that you pay. So if, for instance, she was able to tack on an extra $30 or $40 a month on her payments, she could have probably paid her car off in 40 or 50 months or even sooner, depending on how much she could add on. And if you pay off your car sooner, those interest payments, or the amount paid in total in interest, is going to go down considerably. Okay, the interest rate on her loan is 2.9%. If she saved $1,500 for a down payment, how much money will she have to borrow? And how will this affect her monthly payment? So the total amount she owes is equal to the cost of the car, $24,546.87, minus her down payment. This means that she's going to have to borrow $23,046.87 now. So if we go into the BMO loan calculator again, we put in her numbers. The amount that she is going to need to borrow is $23,046.87. Her interest rate this time is 2.9%. And we said that her payments are over 60 months. Well, 60 months is actually 5 years, because every year has 12 months in it. So 5 times 12 will give us our 60 months. Her payment frequency is still monthly, which means she's going to have a monthly payment now of $413.10. So the change to her payment, her original payment was $439.96. Now she's only going to be paying $413.10, which means it's a total difference monthly of $26.86. So her payments are going to go down by almost $27 a month if she can put $1,500 down on the car at the very beginning. If Erin's car depreciates, again that's going down in value, by 15% each year, how much will her car be worth when it is paid off? Create a graph to show how much the car is worth each year after it depreciates 15%. In which year will the car depreciate the most? So we're going to take these questions one step at a time. First thing we're going to need is to set up a table. So in our table, our columns are going to be the years of ownership, the value of the car, and 15% of that value. So we're going to start with her when she buys the car. So how long has she owned the car? How many years? Well, she's owned it for 0 years. And we also know that the value of the car when she first buys it is $18,999. If it depreciates in value, that means it's going to go down in value. So to find out what 15% of that value is, we multiply 18,999 times 0.15, and we get a value of $2,849.85. So that means after 1 year, she will have lost that much on her car. So in year 1 of ownership, she's going to have $18,999 minus the $2,849.85 that she lost in the value of the car. So minus 2,849.85 equals, now the value of her car is going to be $16,149.15. Okay, and we continue to do this for the rest of the years. So we multiply our new value of our car by 0.15 and find out what is left over. And I've got that finished off here in a nicer little table. So we can see that the value of the car has dropped in the first year by $2,850, in the second year by $2,400 roughly, in the third year by a little over $2,000. In the third year, the value has dropped by $1,750, and in year 4 it's dropped by just under $1,500. And the value of the car has gone from $19,000 after when she first bought the car, down to after 5 years of only being worth $8,400. So we can plot this either by hand or using technology, and it'll look something like this. Okay, so we have our depreciation of our car over time. So in which year will the car depreciate the most? Well, looking at our table, that should be fairly obvious. The 15% of the value of the car is greatest when we have our car being at its highest value, which is $18,999. So in the first year of ownership, our car depreciates the most. Okay, now we're going to look at our options for leasing a vehicle. We looked at buying new, buying used, and now we're going to look at leasing. Matt plans to lease a new car. His lease agreement allows him to drive 20,000 kilometers per year. Matt's monthly payment will be $246.53 before taxes for 4 years. When leasing a vehicle, there is always some money due upon delivery. Matt has to pay a delivery fee of $156.95 plus the first month's payment. What is the total cost Matt has to pay before he can take the car home? Well, first thing we're going to do is work out the lease payment. We said it's, going back to the question, $246.53 before taxes. So to find out how much it is with taxes, we take $246.53, multiply it by 1.13. That is the same as adding 13% tax. And we get a value of $278.58. So his monthly payment is actually $278.58 because he has to pay tax. And in the first month, he also has to pay that delivery fee, which is not taxed. So now we add in the delivery fee, $278.58 plus $156.95 means that in his first month, he owes $435.53. If Matt drives more than 20,000 kilometers per year, he will pay 12 cents per kilometer. Matt drives 87,248 kilometers over the 4-year lease term. How much does Matt owe when he returns the car to the dealer? So the total allowed kilometers, he had a 4-year lease and he had 20,000 kilometers per year, means that he would pay 80,000, or he would have an allowed kilometer amount of 80,000 kilometers over the 4 years total. He went up to 87,248 kilometers. So the total amount that he went over is 87,248 minus 80,000, which is 7,248 additional kilometers put on the car. Now there's, when you return a car, there's other things that you might have to pay up on. Again, not just your kilometers, but if you have any scratches or dents or things of that nature. If it's unacceptably dirty inside and that's needed to be cleaned, these are things that you could have to pay for when you return a car. So the total amount that he owes, there's 7,248 kilometers extra, and he pays 12 cents for every extra kilometer, which means that he will have to pay in $869.76. So this is an option that you can have. This is a lease-to-own option. If you end up having to pay a lot in at the end of the lease, then maybe it might be a bad idea to consider buying the car out or lease-to-own. Since he's gone over his allotted kilometers, Matt decides to buy the car at the end of the lease instead of returning it. This way he does not have to pay for those extra kilometers. The residual value, the value of that's remaining in the car after the 4 years, so the residual value of the car at the end of the lease term is $9,905.70. To buy the car, the interest rate is 7%, and Matt takes the loan out for 2 years. How much will Matt pay in total for this car? So the total he paid so far is his initial payment plus all of the lease payments he would have made during the term of the lease. So his initial payment, if you recall, was $435.53. And he had 47 other payments, lease payments that he had to make of $278.58 each. Meaning that up to date, over the 4 years so far, he's paid $13,528.79 on the car. The total after taxes that he has left to pay is $9,905.70 times 1.13, or adding 13%, means that he still owes $11,193.44. And he's going to pay this by getting a loan at 7%. So again, going to the BMO loan calculator, we put in the number for the amount owing, $11,193.44, with an interest rate of 7%, and he's going to pay it off over a 2-year period. So the payment frequency, once again, is monthly, meaning that his monthly payments now will be $501.16. So the total amount of payments that he's has to make, is 24, because it's a 2-year term, of $501.16 each, which means that he still owes $12,027.84 if he keeps a regular schedule on his payments to own the car. So that is how much he's left to owe, plus what he's already paid. So the total amount paid is the amount paid during the term of the lease, plus his ownership payments afterwards. Means that we add them together, $13,528.79 plus $12,027.84, giving us a grand total of $25,556.63 is what he will have paid for the car once you include all of the lease payments and the buyout payments. So if Matt bought the car instead of leasing it initially, he could have had an interest rate of 1.9% over 60 months, or 5 years. Would it have been cheaper to lease to own or to buy the car? Costs to buy the car are in the table. So these are the numbers he'd have to pay in order to buy the car outright in the beginning. So the total cost, the standard vehicle price, and the freight and PDI are taxable values, and the licensing is not taxable. So it would be $18,690 plus the freight times 1.13, because those two numbers are taxable, and then we add on the licensing. And that gives us a total amount of $22,696.05 for the taxable portion, plus $140 for the license, which is $22,836.05. That's how much he would have to pay to buy the car from the beginning. When we look at how much it would cost him to finance that, 1.9% over 60 months, using that BMO loan calculator again, and just so you know, most banks, most banking websites that you might look at will have a loan calculator. So I like the BMO one because I think it's very simple to use, but you can certainly use the loan calculator from whichever bank you prefer, or you might even find an app for your computer or your phone or tablet, whatever type of device you may use, that you can also use to calculate payments from a loan. So if we put in the loan amount, $22,836.05, that's how much you would have to borrow to buy this car, with an interest rate of 1.9%. Again, 60 months is a 5-year term loan or a 5-year amortization. The payment frequency is monthly, and that means that he would have had to pay $399.27 over 5 years. So the total cost of ownership, if we had to pay that for 60 months, $399.27, would be the amount per month times the number of months which is $23,956.20. So if he had bought the car from the beginning and paid out over 5 years, he would have owed $23,956.20 in total. The cost of the lease to own, if you recall, turned out to be $25,556.63 when you include what he paid during the lease and what he paid for the buyout. So the difference between the two is $25,556.63 minus $23,956.20. So if he had bought the car from the beginning instead of leasing and then leasing to own, he could have saved himself $1,600.43. That's a significant amount of money to save over a 5-year period. So it would have been cheaper to buy the car outright than to and then finance that than to go the lease to own option. And this may be the case if you were considering buying a car. But it's something you can certainly look into. So are the monthly payments lower when Matt leases the car or buys it outright? And why? Well, they were lower during the lease. And the reason for that is that during a lease, a person pays for the value of the vehicle over the term of the lease. This is that idea of the residual value. After the 4 years of the lease, the car still had some value in it. It was still worth almost $10,000, and that was the agreed upon price that Matt and the dealership would have come up with. But when you're buying a car, you pay for the full lifetime of the car. So what you're paying for the full value of that car. So at the end of the payments, if you buy the car, the dealer has no value in that car anymore. And that's why your payments are more if you're buying. So again, to summarize, for this lesson, that there are 3 options that you consider when obtaining a vehicle. You can either buy, and that's of course a new or used car. You can lease, and at the end of the lease, you can return your car, maybe get a new one or go with another dealer or whatever you choose. But there's also the option at the end of your lease to buy out your car, which is the lease to own option. So when buying, you must consider what is the best option for you. Now, in that last example, we said that it might have been cheaper for Matt to buy the car from the beginning and finance that way. But maybe when he leased the car initially, he didn't have enough money to be able to afford the monthly car payments. So leasing would have been a better option. And maybe when he decided to buy out his car, he had a bit more money in his pocket to be able to afford the payments at that time. But there are many factors you would have to include, including costs, insurance rates, the amount of usage you're going to have. And again, with Matt's case, in the last example, he was allowed 80,000 kilometers, and the amount of usage he had for the car was greater than that. So maybe buying would have been a better option to begin with. But again, these are all kinds of things you have to consider when you're going in and looking for your own vehicle.